Hello, this is a video that I've been meaning to do for some time, and it's going to be a lot different than my usual videos responding to people on certain assertions they've made about the Bible. This time it's going to be on the subject of The Dark Knight Rises. Now let me just quickly say a few things about the Dark Knight trilogy. It's one of my favourite movie trilogies. It's up there with Star Wars, pretty much. Out of all the films, I would say... out of all three films, I would say The Dark Knight is probably the best one. And I'm probably going to offend a lot of people here. I'm sorry, but I prefer the Christopher Nolan films to the Burton films and the Schumacher films. But I have a website which talks about this, but I'm not going to go into detail about that. What I want to speak about is something else, regarding some of the problems raised by a user by the name of Confused Matthew. For those who do not know, Confused Matthew is a movie reviewer on YouTube, and interestingly, he's quite a bit different from other movie reviewers. One of his most famous reviews is his critique of The Lion King, and if anyone has seen that video, they will know how much of a scathing review that he gave The Lion King, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about some of the problems that he raises with respect to The Dark Knight Rises, often considered the black sheep of the Christopher Nolan trilogy. And this is with respect to Bane, specifically. Now, there's one thing I want to make very clear. Bane's hit on the stock exchange is not what I'm going to be talking about in this video. I admit, that's a bit of a stretch. And there's even an article that provides a good reason as to why Bane's plan has no justification and wouldn't even work. See the article in the description below. Now, aside from the fact that there is swearing in a number of Confused Matthew's videos, putting that issue aside, when you take away the swearing, when you listen to Confused Matthew's opinion, he actually is very refreshingly honest with his movie reviews, with his critique of the film, with his opinions of the music, soundtrack, screenplay, characters. He is very open and honest in how he feels. I kind of wish he would tone down the swearing, but that's another issue, neither here nor there. What I want to get into is what I said earlier, The Dark Knight Rises, and some of what Confused Matthew has said, and hopefully respond to what he has said about it. So with that, without further ado, let's begin.
But this sudden case of the dumbs doesn't just apply to Gordon either. No, not by a long shot. As soon as the second act begins, all of the people in Gotham suddenly and inexplicably become dirt stupid as well. For those of you keeping score, this is the third time a madman has tried to take over Gotham. The third. And every other time Gotham's freedom and safety and sanity is threatened, the people of Gotham react very consistently.
At one stage in the review, Confused Matthew shows the contrasts between how the people of Gotham react to a major villain taking over the city in all three films, from Batman Begins to The Dark Knight to The Dark Knight Rises. I don't want to get a copyright strike from Warner Brothers, so I will not be playing audio from the film.
But when an equally mad man sets chaos ablaze in Gotham and takes over the city, the exact same people, under the exact same circumstances, they couldn't be happier that Bane is threatening to blow up the city if they don't do what he says. They'll pop the champagne bottles, hang out in a fool's court, and blindly believe anything that he tells these people. But before we analyze the people of Gotham's sudden lack of common sense, let's take a good long look at what Bane's plan is.
I may comment on the subject of the people's behaviour later, but for now I'll let Confused Matthew explain his point, so we can get into it. But firstly, let's get a reminder from Bane's line, with an impression by yours truly of Bane. I learned here there can be no true despair without hope. So, as I terrorize Gotham, I will feed its people hope to poison their souls. I'll let them believe they can survive so you can watch them clamoring over each other to stay. in the sun.
So Bane is going to make the people of Gotham think they can survive so that he can kill them with hope. The problem is, he's making them believe that they can survive something that he himself is threatening them with. I'm holding a gun to your head, but don't worry, you can survive. Well, you're the one holding the gun, so I'm pretty sure only you can decide if I survive or not. No, it's okay. You can survive this. Right, but I'm just saying maybe it would be easier for me to survive if you didn't point the gun at me in the first... You can survive! Okay. You see, Bane has captured what is essentially an atomic bomb and is threatening to blow up the city if the people of Gotham don't be free. I'm serious. That is an accurate description of what he's telling these people. In one fatal swoop, Bane is presenting himself both as shining liberator and insane bomber, and the people of Gotham accept him on both terms.
Yeah, there's only one detail that confused Matthew overlooked. And I'm not saying this to be arrogant or condescending, but there's one thing he forgot to mention. Bane never tells the people of Gotham that the bomb will go off regardless of whether they comply. Bane only tells Gotham that he has a bomb and that Gotham will survive, but by the sin of omission, Bane conveniently fails to mention to his audience that the bomb will go off anyway. He never mentions the timeline to anyone in the film, and only he, Talia, and the police and Batman know that there is a timer. Well, Batman knows later on, but anyway. Now, how the police found out, it's never explained. It's possible they may have spied on the bomb when it was put into the lead truck, but I'm not sure on this point. I would have to relook at the film again to be sure. But for certain, Bane never tells the people of Gotham, that the bomb is going to go off. Even if the people of Gotham were to accept Bane as Matthew puts it, their shining liberator and their insane bomber, it is irrelevant, because Bane plans to kill them anyway at Talia's request. Considering that Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins had expressed interest in, well, not only interest, but outright stated that he would destroy Gotham, or wanted to destroy Gotham because of its corruption. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Oh, not in this movie, Harvey. In this movie, people will apparently accept you as both at exactly the same time. Anyone with half a brain cell should be able to figure out that if Bane is telling you, live free or die, period, he's either an unstable nutcase to be feared, or he has some ulterior motive just like the other nutcases that tried to take over the city. And again, every single time this city has been thrown into this kind of controlled chaos, the people of Gotham have been bitterly opposed to that chaos. But now, because the movie needs the people of Gotham to be dumb, they suddenly believe anything and everything that Bane says to them, even when there is no reason to do so, or what he's saying to them is a complete contradiction, or it just makes absolutely no sense at all.
Keeping in mind that Bane has threatened an entire city with a nuclear bomb, or at least a nuclear reactor that's going to go off. I hardly think people are going to act rationally in a situation where a terrorist has them practically at bomb point and is threatening to kill them all if they do not accept the terms he is offering to them. And even as I mentioned before, Bane still plans to kill them all anyway, regardless of whether they accept his terms or reject his terms. Even Ra's al Ghul did not make a direct threat to the people of Gotham. He just simply snuck in and decided to activate the microwave emitter to get his plan underway. The Joker, as much as he threatened people on television and pretty much destroyed a lot of areas with random destruction, especially the Gotham General Hospital, the Joker never flat out planned to kill the entire city. He threatened a few people here and there. He even threatened Coleman Reese on the air, and even managed to kill Lau. Yes, they did. Yes, Lau was killed in The Dark Knight. But I'm getting into another topic. Point is, even the Joker did not desire to destroy the entire city of Gotham. All he wanted to do was throw Gotham into chaos and disarray. Bane is the only villain in the Dark Knight trilogy to make a direct threat to the people of Gotham right to their faces. Ra's al Ghul never did that. The Joker didn't do it on a wide scale, but he said, in the sense of he didn't threaten the entire of Gotham with destruction. He only threatened to destroy certain landmarks or certain people, whereas Bane is threatening to kill every single person in Gotham. It is not the people becoming derp stupid because the plot needs them to be derp stupid. It's the people of Gotham. It is the people of Gotham reacting negatively to a terrorist who has got... Well, I needn't repeat myself on the point. You get the idea.
We came here not as conquerors, but as liberators to return control of the city to the people. At the first sign of interference from the outside world, or for those people attempting to flee, this anonymous Gothamite, this unsung hero, will trigger the bomb. Gotham is yours. None shall interfere. Do as you please. This great city, it will endure.
Yeah, this great city will endure. This thing that I'm doing to it. Think, you morons, think! Why would any bomber want you to endure the hard times that they specifically are putting you in? Usually if you're characterizing yourself as a liberator of people, you don't openly state that you'll kill them all in a vaporizing heat explosion if they don't allow themselves to be liberated.
This is the next part, which is important, because this is the section where Matthew examines Harvey Dent's, well, the Harvey Dent exposure speech, as I call it, where Bane reads Commissioner Gordon's letter. I think everyone's probably heard my rather gratuitous Bane impression, so I think I'll skip this line. If you want me to do this line in another video, I'll be happy to do so, but I think the people watching this have had enough of me impersonating Bane. So, those who know the what Commissioner Gordon's speech is, those who have seen the film, I think everyone knows it. So we'll move on.
Well, considering we have no way of verifying that Gordon wrote that, and for all we know you're just making this up, we really shouldn't blindly believe you, but since the movie needs us to be dumb, oh yay, we believe you, ruthless overlord!
Now the subject of Harvey Dent's fall from grace. That's the point I'm going to tackle next. When we go back to The Dark Knight, Batman realizes that if Dent is seen using brutal methods that he shouldn't, one example being when he threatens a schizophrenic at gunpoint and threatens to kill him if he doesn't tell him about the Joker, the criminals will be back on the streets. While the Joker managed to bring Dent to the moral event horizon, Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, by showing the letter, merely exposed Dent in order to demoralize the city. He was carrying out Ra's al Ghul's task of destroying Gotham, with Talia al Ghul pulling the strings and instructing Bane what to do. I mean, you could say that the people would just believe anything, which is what Confused Matthew has said, and also the believing anything comment is also something that my uncle has said. But what evidence would they have against Bane? They had none. They would have to prove the letter was a forgery to try and disprove Bane's claims. But considering the fact that Bane spontaneously gets this letter out of nowhere, for all the people of Gotham know, that can be a genuine letter. Plus, they're not going to think rationally in a given situation when a terrorist has got them at bomb point, which I mentioned earlier. But again, even if they were acting rationally, what evidence would they have against Bane to disprove his entire point and refute him? They don't have evidence against him. I think Bane is counting on this. Now, whether Bane is actually having the intention of exposing Harvey Dent is another matter. Certainly, in The Dark Knight, Harvey Dent was the ideal figurehead of Gotham, one who could effectively deal with criminals, and a role model whom people could base their lives on. If someone found out that Harvey Dent was doing what he did as Two-Face, which he becomes near the end of the film, people are going to think, well, if Harvey Dent is going to do this, why on earth should we waste time? Why should we waste time in being good and dealing with criminals? We might as well have a jolly good time. That's why people are pretty much acting the way they are in The Dark Knight Rises, like having parties, despite the fact that Bane is threatening to kill them all. I don't know, it's a lot of funny points to go through, I'll tell you that for sure. One last thing I will look at is not the subject of where Bane messes up the economy and everyone's living in squander. But I will comment on the subject of Crane, Jonathan Crane, i.e. Scarecrow, being judge and jury in Gotham. Let's take a look at that.
Oh, and look, they set up a lunatic court where a well-known madman sentences people to walking on thin ice until they fall in and die. That seems like a perfectly sane thing to do. Yeah, I'm totally on board with this. No, bullshit. No one in Gotham would be going along with this insanity. They might not openly oppose it as they don't want to get blown to vapor, but they certainly wouldn't be cheering in the background over it.
I admit this point is a little more tricky because, well, it depends on who was setting up the court. If it was Bane who was setting up the court, then the people would have no choice but to accept Jonathan Crane, or the Scarecrow, as their judge and jury. But if the people of Gotham accepted it, or rather they elected Crane, despite knowingly know who he is, I admit there's no justification for them cheering. They probably have gone nuts. So I admit there's no excuse in that regard. But if Crane was ordained, as it were, by Bane to be the judge and jury in the context of the film, then I'm not really sure. I can't really comment on this one. I think that's it for now. So if Confused Matthew's watching this, I wouldn't mind hearing his opinion on the points that I have raised. And I hope this brings to light a few issues. So thank you for taking this time to watch the video.